Hello, people. We are somewhat back to medium. I don't know if that's even quite a thing because we're now in the window of the Olympics for real, for real. But Athletics LLC, another episode, another week, more stuff to share. So let's cut to the chase. Sir Lucius, how are you, other than happy to be back in the state of Florida?
I'm happy to be back in the state of Florida. I'm very happy to be back in the state of Florida. Yeah, I'm glad to be back. Starting to get some rest. I still need to get some more, but yeah, I'm here until Paris. I'm not leaving until I go to Paris. I refuse.
Cement your feet into the ground.
No training camp for you? None of that? No?
Immediately no.
That's funny.
That's
Governor
really
Barrel,
funny.
you'll have to give us some qualification for that name, but how are you?
Well, this
Yeah, I was gonna say I just realized that you're there.
Yeah. You know, I guess I foreshadowed things a little bit. I had a Tuesday to Tuesday trip, went down for the Jamaica Olympic trials, had a triple jumper that I was working with, and doing a little bit of recruiting as well. But, a couple days into the trip, Barrel decides to show itself, and this is a question that I ask, people all the time. Would you rather live somewhere where a week in advance that chances are you're about to get hit pretty hard? Or would you rather live somewhere where the earth can just open up at any point and just swallow you? I mean, which
Right.
one do you choose, right? But got out of Jamaica. It was really calm. I think all the chaos really started this morning, people trying to get out, and it was too late. So we're waiting to see what the damage is in Jamaica. I think the southern coast got the brunt of it, and it's now heading for Cayman. I think Cayman should be feeling the effects tonight. But it looks like the worst, is behind us. Hopefully, and this year, I mean, earliest hurricane on record at this strength. I mean, what does the rest of the summer hold? So
Right.
let's hold our collective breaths.
Yeah. Clyde, how are you?
I am good. I just, returned from my own quick business European adventure. I'm almost out of my jet lag, but I'm good.
And then we go to 30 days to Paris. So we'll circle it right back to the jet lag. How are you today?
I'm good. I don't know if this is happening to anybody else. I am struggling mightily to remember what day it is.
Mm-hmm.
That part of the summer has begun.
I mean, it's July. So
it definitely gets to a point in the summertime between work from the various jobs and the Groundhog Day nature of my life that I just don't know what day it is. And we're just about there.
Yep. Well, pardon me. Nonetheless, this fatigue was caused by this U.S. Olympic trials. Well, not just the U.S., the Olympic trials, period, but specific to this screen, the trials. So let's wrap up what all of that looked like and whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. There was a lot of things that happened. Where do we go first? I mean, there's literally a lot of storylines we can go to.
I mean, one doesn't require a storyline. Sid.
Right.
Start at the ending.
What a way to start the show. What a way to close the show.
Yeah. My
I had somebody ask me what was the performance of the meet. I looked into like they had snakes coming out of their ears. I was like, "Were you at the meet?" This is really a question you're asking me?
No, but you know what that's about? That's how good Sid is. We just it's a custom to just Sid breaking the world record whenever the hell she feels like it, and people think it's normal. So
I mean, you're not wrong there, right? Like greatness is always brutal because you get compared to yourself, right? So like I do get that, but listen, when somebody makes the Olympic A standard, which we all know the standards are sort of brutal. When someone runs the Olympic A standard in the 400 over hurdles, like we can stop having conversations about who was better.
right. So my question for you all, because some were there in the building.
So, and this is quite embarrassing, but she would have been sixth in the open 400.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same at World Championships in 22, right?
Yeah.
Either fifth or sixth.
Yeah, she was a little higher, I think, actually. So
yes.
My question is, before the race, did you feel like it was going to get we were going to see a world record, or during the race at any point? Because I didn't think she'd really go for it at trials, and we all know she's probably training through, right? I didn't think she'd go for it.
So my question is, you see, I've heard you say that now about her. I heard somebody else say that about her, and I also heard somebody else say that about Rod Benjamin. But when you're fit, why wouldn't you go for it? Because there's no guarantee you're going to get that opportunity again.
No, it's fair. Yeah. I'm just saying, when you're in her case and in Rise, but especially in her case, when you're at a meet where you know that you're 2 to 3 seconds better than the field, and all you need to do is stay on your feet and qualify.
Well, her and Ryan are in the same position in that, yeah. But I'm just saying I'm going to put my coaching hat on that one. Like, if you're fit, you go run.
Yeah.
Right. Because especially in the hurdles, you start playing with your rhythm, and then, Ryan almost went down a couple of years ago playing with his rhythm. So, I don't think Ryan went to the well, to be honest.
No.
No, you can see it on the film. He didn't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think Sydney did either.
Well,
I said this.
That's my issue.
I said this to Sir Lucius. If you gave her 20 minutes, I think she could do it again.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Because this is how I feel. This is how I feel. I mean, we all know Bobby, and we know how he thinks, right? I think she was sent out on a mission to see if, like, does this work? Right? I don't think she pressed the gas real hard at all.
So the world record was what, 50 what before? 69 or 68?
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't like she smashed it. Like she nipped it. So people were talking about it as she smashed the world record. She clipped it a little bit. Right.
She just went out for a run.
But she
did a pole vault maneuver.
She was more aggressive than Rye was, in my opinion. Because Rye didn't start running until hurdle 7.
Okay.
Now hurdle 6, yeah.
So I don't disagree, but that's the nature of how Sydney runs the event versus how Rye runs the event. When Rye is taking his 13 steps for 10, he does not run hard in the first half because he can't. He can't fit it in. Sid is out there on her 14. She got to go for that.
So the thing that stood out to me, and this is why I'm more likely to side on the fact that she did not throw everything out there, was when she got from 7 to 8, there were actually other women in the race that thought that they had a chance.
Come off the turn.
Yep.
No.
I'm talking about from my viewpoint.
You had a horrible viewpoint there.
Okay.
Okay,
she was miles ahead.
Okay, I didn't say okay. Hold on a second. Okay, I didn't say she was miles ahead because you didn't say she was miles ahead.
I didn't say that either.
Okay, exactly. I said I didn't say it because that's not what you said. But what you said was there were other women who thought they had a chance to win. No, they didn't.
Okay.
They were trying to get second and third.
I get it. I'm talking about.
He meant it looked competitive at hurdle 6 and 7.
Like it was going to be somewhat competitive.
No, Rye looked the same way. But
Yeah.
CJ was still there. The young man from Texas Tech ran his guts out for 5 hurdles, right?
Yeah, man.
Right. So I feel for him. I mean, he had a phenomenal year to end it like that. But I think if the question for me, to go back to the question, there was no doubt in my mind that watching Sid in the first 2 rounds that she could break the world record if she wanted to, because it was too easy. right?
Yes.
There was no doubt in my mind that Ryan could run 45 seconds right now if he wanted to,
Mhm.
if he's forced to,
Yeah.
right? There's no doubt in my mind he can. Like, I mean, I don't know what it's going to take, but so while we're on this topic, let's give flowers where flowers are due. Joanna Hayes is coaching her tail off.
Yes, she is.
She is coaching her tail off. I mean, also props, what Boogie did with Anna, but from where Jasmine Jones just started running the event last year,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she's the only one that's been dual hurdling, right? The dual hurdles is like, it just doesn't happen anymore, right? And obviously she didn't do it at this meet because you couldn't. They were on the same day, but the girls run 12:50 and she's now run 52 seconds.
Yeah.
And if you watch her race model, you can tell that her and Rye are coached the same way.
Yeah.
And I guess, and we have to address the bear, the elephant in the room. Shamir Little.
I listen, if you're, there's a lot to celebrate from the trials, and there's a lot of bodies buried in, coming out of every trials, right? I can't, like, who do I feel worse for, Shamir or a thing? I couldn't tell you, but I feel really bad for both of them. And be very differently, but both self-inflicted errors, you can say, because there's no reason for Shamir to go out there and run 3 rounds of the open 4. It wasn't a necessary thing to do. And if she doesn't do that, does she beat Jasmine for that 3rd spot? I don't know. None of us know. Right. But there's no way that helped her endeavor.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that it did. Yeah. So there's been a lot of talk about that, and that was hard to watch. I saw Shamir after the race, and we have a pretty good relationship, but like I've never seen her that distraught before. Yeah. That one hurt. That one hurt. Yeah.
Well, you know what? You just answered my internal battle right there. I feel worse for Shamir, because at the end of the day, no matter what you think about a thing situation, a thing is still extremely young, and she'll be around.
She also has a gold medal already.
Right. She has 2. Well, not from the Olympics, but yes, she has an Olympic gold, and she'll be around.
Well, she does. If you count the relay, she does have 2 Olympic golds.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah. But a thing Mo will be around in 2028. Shamir's not.
What is she? 22 years old now.
Yeah. Shamir ain't 21 years old.
Right.
Like, that might have been her last shot. Yeah. And that would be terrible.
So am I correct that she's never made an Olympic team in an open event?
You are correct.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
it's look, I don't take shots at coaches. I really try not to, and I'm not going to take one here. Right. I think that Chris Johnson is an exceptional coach, but I always feel like when life provides us with lessons, we are fools if we don't learn from them. And at the end of the day, if you're a young coach and you have somebody really talented, this is an example of things you should think about. A month before or 2 weeks before, or whenever the conversation was had, a plan was made. And the plan was made when everybody was thinking clearly and there was no emotion involved. But then when they got on site, the plan was altered. And at the end of the day, that is almost certainly a recipe for, it's usually a recipe for some level of disaster, but it is definitely a gigantic recipe for scrutiny. And that's the issue, right? Is that like 99.9% of the people on this planet would not question Chris Johnson and his handling of 400-meter running people based on what he's done this year, right? But when the few people on the planet who had the right to were questioning the constant doubling of Britain just a year ago, right? When we come back to this and it kind of happens again, like the unfortunate part is like it's what leaves you open to scrutiny, and it's not unfair. It sucks. It's crazy to me that that's where we're at, but I think we all feel terrible for Shamir, mainly because she's 29.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we've all been around the sport long enough to know you can't make assumptions about anybody doing anything.
Well, I'm still curious. Did I not see her get in front of a camera and say that she was just running one round?
Yeah.
Well,
You
so
did
that's
see that.
part of the problem is that she told the world what the plan was.
Okay. All right.
That's part of the problem.
Okay.
Is that the world knows that that was not the original plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So therein lies the issue.
Man. I don't know. I
But,
don't know
you
what
know,
to say.
Well,
Um,
that is very well said, and rightfully so.
there were a lot of very interesting things that happened in the back half of the trials.
Whew.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I have the question that I know the audience wants us to ask, so I'm going to ask it. Who knows what kind of answer we're going to get? Sir Lucius.
Mhm.
First of all, men's 110 hurdles, take a bow, everybody. That was insane.
Is that the
Yes.
fastest race ever?
Yes.
Yep.
And
Okay.
before we gush over the obvious winner, I have to say Freddie Crinton. Like, my God.
My goodness.
Okay. Tim O'Neill, his coach. Gentlemen, y'all grind, you do it the right way. And that was a lot of fun to watch. But I need to know what the grade is for Mr. Holloway in the final.
It's so funny. I thought I was the only one that I get asked that question, like as Grant is breaking the tape. Like everyone asks that question immediately.
I mean, it was obviously an A. I mean, you can't, you can't run 1286 and get anything less than an A. I don't think. It wasn't perfect, so you don't get an A plus. But does something weird happen between hurdle 7 and 8, and that was an issue. So that definitely kept from being an A plus. But I mean, I found it hard to find anything wrong with the race at all. Like he did a lot right. I'm of the opinion that what happened between 7 and 8 was because he never felt that before. It kind of jolted him a little bit.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of people like, well, the other guys were so close. They ran 1293 and 1296.
I mean, right.
Yes.
People forget that other
Yes, they
people are
were.
allowed to get better and run well.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
and whoever said that isn't telling the truth, because it wasn't close when he hit the hurdle. It became close after he hit the hurdle.
But even if you go watch it, like they didn't gain a ton when he hit the hurdle. They gained a little, but it wasn't like they cleared this big mass rush like they're going to run by him. Like we've seen that in the past where he almost gets paralyzed off a 9.
Yeah.
But like if you watch it, that was the beauty of the race for me. He clubs an 8, but he didn't stop his momentum. He continued to execute at a high level, so that was good. So I mean, he got an A, but I'm extremely happy for Daniel. Mr. Tench is still a big part of the future.
Yes.
The young man from A&M, wow, 1309, big run. Run. He's going to come back to the collegiate level next year with a whole lot of confidence, right? And then what are you, 13, 15, 6?
Yeah.
This was not the trials to be a really good hurdler.
Right.
Right. This was the trials for great hurdlers only.
Go have some moment, clean your hands. Clean your hands.
And that's
that's
the brutality of our system, right? It's like there are times and there are events where you have to be great, like historically great.
Yeah.
But that's like as good as the men's race was, and it was on paper the best ever, right? The women outdid it.
Man.
The women outdid it, which makes no sense at all.
So is there a consensus that Eugene is the best place to run the short hurdles in the world?
I mean,
there's really fast
it's not
times.
just the hurdles, but yeah.
I mean,
Like,
that race was shockingly good.
There's so many things to say about that race.
And once again, kudos to Sir Lucius. I mean, did you see 1231 coming?
He did.
I did.
Okay.
Absolutely, he did.
I told DP the day before she was going to run 12.3.
Wow.
Well, see, the thing with Grace is she's a builder, right? So if you watch all of her races this year, whatever she, like when she ran, like at the conference meet, she's like 0.1 something faster in the final than she is in the semi. At the NCAA meet, she's 12.6 or 12.50 high, and then she's 12.40 high, right? That's just what she does. And the thing was, she walked off the track after the semi because she had Masai beat well for 7 hurdles. And she said to me, I apologize, I crumbled. I was like, no apologies. You didn't crumble. You just got excited. So we just have to fix that tomorrow. But if you come away with, because crumbling is negative. So we're not going to make it so negative. We're just going to say we're going to do better tomorrow. So we made the adjustment. And like the thing was, okay, so in the same area in the warm up, so you guys have been out there. So you got those lanes, and Alasia Johnson's over there against that fence, like, you know, the on the side, not on the back side, but on the side where they have those new lanes. She's just flying, right? She's just flying, right? And no, I take that back. She's actually just inside of one lane inside the track, right? Okay. So she's right there flying. Grace is out here against the wall flying. And then Nia Ali did like 1 pass over 4. And I looked at Adrienne May, I'm like, oh, she's about to run. Right? She's about to run. She's been playing possum the whole time. The whole time.
Man.
And so it was just the energy. And I'm gonna give, I don't know the young man's last name. I think his first name is Mo, her coach, Lele's coach, because Lele tried to mess it up.
Oh,
like she went to the first hurdle at least once or twice and didn't go, and kind of went around it. And they got it together. But once she got together, I mean, it was just beauty to watch those 3 warm up. Kudos to Lonnie Green and the job he's done with Masai.
Yeah,
So I mean, I agree. The race was phenomenal. Very proud of Gracie. You know, 2 years ago she couldn't walk. You know, we had to teach her how to run all over again. So you know, very, very proud of her.
From my standpoint, and this is something that is endemic in our sport right now, is the balance between the social media aspect, you know, promotions, all of that, and performance on the track. And there is a clear gap between the athletes that are literally there to have a presence so that they can go back and put it on their social media and continue to promote themselves. And then there are those that are in the trenches and they're trying to be the best they can possibly be. What I'm trying to say is Masai Russell is both. Masai Russell is killing it when it comes to social media. She was in college, she was already on that plane. But to see the two come together at the Olympic trials, I can't imagine what this is going to do for her. And, you know, as we know in our sport, congratulations, you got to do it again in Paris.
Well, she's already went to social media and said that she knows she can break the world record.
Wow.
Yes.
And that's what's the world record?
12-12.
12-12.
Yeah.
12.
Because the 12-0 was windy.
Right.
So I'll jump in here on that, follow up on what the governor said, because it ties to what my overall thoughts about that particular race were. First and foremost, you have to shout out the vets. To your point, Nia Ali pulled every pro trick in the book out there. And it almost worked. And it almost worked, including things we've never seen, like totally being aware enough to walk the prelim.
Yes.
Right? Baby boy. Hush. But here's the issue. In the previous generation of hurdlers, the most talented people never actually killed off the vets. They let Sally and Dawn hang around forever. And it cost people medals and extended everybody's careers in those spaces, right? So in this moment, the fastest top to bottom, you know, race on record, you have the former world record holder running an excellent race
Yep.
and missing the team.
Yep.
You have Nia, who has proven over and over and over again that she can't be killed, run an excellent race. And then there's another 12-3. None of them make the team. But who killed them off? Someone who's not even a pro yet in Grace
Right.
Stark.
Great
And
start.
two women.
No.
Well, in that moment, she's turned pro. But you understand.
No, she had an Adidas uniform on, sir. She ran for Adidas in the race.
I get you, but you understand my point. She was at the NCAA championships 3 weeks ago. So
That was 3
she ain't
weeks
a pro
ago.
yet.
She's a pro now.
I hear you.
She absolutely is a
Congratulations.
pro now.
She ain't a pro. I hear you. Congratulations.
You can believe it. Hold on a second. We're not doing that with you tonight. She's a pro.
Sir.
She got paid for what she did. She's a professional.
Awesome. She deserves every dollar. The two
let's
women
leave
in
it
front
at
of her, the two women in front of her have built themselves a reputation as pros, as women who can't get it done in the biggest moments. And there's plenty of criticism, rightfully so, on both of them because we've seen it time and time and time again.
Yeah.
So for those two women to have their ultimate breakthrough in that space, break Gail Deaver's record,
Yes.
like in the most pressure-packed meet that there ever will be.
Yep.
Like that, to me, is what made that whole thing so just unbelievably amazing. And Masai Russell, in my opinion, is correct. Both her and her training partner have the ability to threaten the world record. So even more props to Lonnie Green, because what kind of hell of a season is he having out there?
Oh my goodness.
Well, I will be the old guy that will caution people about talking about breaking world records.
I'm not saying it's happening. I'm saying it
No,
can.
hold on. I'm not talking to you because you didn't say. I'm just, when you're an athlete and you start talking about breaking world records, your focus should be on winning the medal. That's just my opinion. But I don't think you should talk about those things. You just put added pressure on you that you don't need. But if that's what she needs to do, then she should do that. But for me, Masai had a bad year last year. But we forget that Masai made the team last year, right? Masai was in Budapest last year. So she didn't have a bad year. She had bad moments at the Worlds. We've seen a lot of athletes struggling their first year out. But again, she made the team. She made a world indoor team. And, it just sometimes it takes that little time to get it figured out. And clearly they have. And obviously having an incredible training partner like Devin Charlton helps, it does. So, but, kudos to those young ladies. I think they did a phenomenal job, and I'm looking forward to all of them racing well again in Paris, because as the governor said, you got to do it again, because Devin's going to show up. A young lady from from Jamaica ran 12:28. So
Masai Russell's collegiate nemesis.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to touch on the men's triple jump.
Yeah.
And it was, again, I mean, where certain championships, certain trials or whatever, it is clear that there's a youth movement, and we're starting to see the young bucks starting to step up. Okay. So, we just got off a situation where, Masai and Grace, relative newbies to this, arena, stepped up and took care of business. And we have been whispering about it, and we've been talking about it, about the end of probably the greatest era of men's triple jump for the United States, between Will Clay and Christian Taylor, and the decade plus of dominance that the two of them have had. And anytime you have a situation like that, where two men have just pushed each other year after year after year, you kind of get lost. What gets lost in the shuffle is who's next? Who's going to take up that mantle when they, take their last, hop, step, and jump of their career? And so you know, we saw a little bit of it at the national title. I'd say indoors. We saw a little bit of it when Russell won the triple jump at NCAA indoors. What we're seeing now is Russell Robinson and Salif Mane are now taking that mantle. I've always said it to, you know, I'll say it till I'm blue in my face. Jumpers need each other.
Yeah.
They need, there has to be a foil. There has to be a hero. There has to be a foil. There has to be someone that's pushing the needle. And those two seem to have connected and locked on to each other. And, you know, what happens in the process is that because you're so focused on athlete X, you right, and in some cases it becomes personal. You really forget just what's really doing. You're pushing each other to levels. I mean, did anyone see 1752 coming? No. But look at the result. He beat Russell Robinson, okay? It's very much in his head who Russell Robinson is. And those of us that have been watching Russell Robinson know that that young man has every bit as much ability. And when he puts it together, I think we're going to see something close, you know, to what we've seen over the last 10 years, you know. So kudos to Donald Scott taking care of business, getting his spot for the Olympic team. But this is a new era. It's a new era, and heavy weighs the crown, as they say.
It's funny that you finished that there, because the moment I wanted to talk about from the back end of the trials that literally nobody paid attention to was Maggie Malone.
Oh man,
just absolutely crashing Kara Winger's retirement comeback party.
Yeah,
and getting the Olympic A standard.
A standard, yeah. Yeah.
Maggie was like, I mean, it's nice to have you back and all, but you should go back to retirement because we're good here.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, like, look, I'm a huge fan of clutch performances. I'm mad at myself for not remembering this young lady's name because I've watched her compete a bunch of times. But the young lady that hit the long jump Olympic standard on the dot on her last jump.
Monet Nichols.
Clutch.
I'm going to say this, Monet Nichols. I hope somebody shows her this. No matter what you do in your life, you need to always go back to that moment because that's who you really are.
Yep.
So if you ever face tough times, if you ever face any adversity, take a deep breath and remember that moment because that's who you can be in a moment of any sort of despair. Because let me tell you something, that is really hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's the clutch moment of the whole trials.
Man.
Like, I mean,
yeah.
Tara getting a clean jump in to make it to the final. That was one thing, but
that was just crisis avoided.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that what Tara did wasn't important. It was incredibly important. But at the end of the day, she jumped 7 meters. She jumped further than that multiple times.
Yes.
Right. She had to jump 660 something to get 3 more jumps. So at the end of the day, she just had to manage her emotions.
Well, I think that's the performance he's talking about. The 660 something when you got 2 fouls.
Yes.
I don't know how that's not clutch.
It's clutch.
I wasn't saying that it wasn't clutch.
What is more clutch? What would you say is more clutch then?
Oh no, I'm not saying it wasn't more. I mean, my thing is this: is that okay? So for me, there's different levels to this because that's clutch when you come in there and you're that big of a favorite.
Yep.
And you come down and you got 2 fouls, right? And we've seen this movie before where the person comes down and they just absolutely fold and they foul again, or they jump 2 feet behind the board and they don't make the final. So I mean, I'm not saying that what Monet did wasn't clutch, but I'm not so sure it was that, in my opinion anyway, there was that much more clutch to what Tara did because there was a big weight on Tara's shoulders.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, yeah. No,
I understand there. I understand the weight of expectations, but Tara didn't deliver the best jump of her life when she absolutely needed it. Like Monet Nichols could have jumped the best jump of her life, got third, and still be sitting at the house. she had to hit a certain distance and she hit it precisely. Like
Jump
that's
686
like
on the
precisely
nose.
On the dot.
like that's
crazy.
nuts.
Yeah.
On the dot.
Yeah. On a
And
day
that's how
also,
you know sometimes certain things are just ordained, right?
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, we're talking about a grain of sand.
yeah. And there were windy jumps that day. There were,
Yeah.
you know.
That I mean,
The interesting thing about it, and I've, you know, and 30 Days to Paris can confirm this. Ivan Pedroso in Sydney has to chase what was it, 8:49, I think,
Something like that.
from Australia, and comes down the runway, and I'm watching this guy, and it looks like he's jogging. It looks so measured, right? And it's one of the hardest things that I've tried to explain to an athlete, that in situations like that, your adrenaline levels are so high that you have to be very careful about where you put your adrenaline. Okay? In a situation like that, Monet just needed to make sure it was on the board.
Yep.
Just make sure it was on the board. So if anybody was watching her run down the runway, it probably looked slow the way she was running. But when she hit that board, it was over. You know, and that's, again, for a young woman, a young athlete in this game, to figure that out and to just realize, hey, let me just get there. And I'm gonna let adrenaline take care of the rest. Almost, that was a veteran move, to be honest.
But you know,
Men's
Michael said
800.
that Michael said we got to create drama in our sport. So,
No,
just saying.
that's all. Sir Lucius, your thoughts on the
we don't need
men's
field events.
800?
I mean, I think that, again, I saw a group of men that decided to go for it. A group of men that decided, I'm not gonna just sit back and I'm gonna make it a sprint that it is.
Mhm.
You know, Bryce Hoppel is clearly. I mean, we've seen him get better and better and better, right?
Yeah.
And I forget it. I know his coach's first name is Michael. I forget what his last name is, but like, they are locked in and doing a great job.
Yeah.
And the young guy, Hobbs Kessler, whatever his
Hobbs
name.
Kessler.
yeah.
Wow. You know,
Jeez.
like, that dude is special, man.
Yeah, he is.
That dude's a problem for
shout
everybody.
out to Brandon Miller. I
Oh,
mean,
man.
he was left for dead a year ago. You know, he left the Kersey camp and wasn't going to make it. And all of a sudden, the dude's 143, you know,
Where is he training now? And who is he training with?
He's in the Brooks camp.
He's in the Brooks Beast camp, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that was fun to watch. I just look at Bryce. He looks like it doesn't matter. He looks unfazed right now. It looks like it doesn't matter what's put in front of him. He's going to go after it. Yeah.
Yes.
I love the aggression of it, and I loved his aggression through it. Because every time someone challenged him, he's like, nah. Y'all gonna sit back here. I got this.
Yes.
And you
he
rarely
didn't
see
do it
that.
he didn't do it by going out in 49 seconds. It was
No.
51-1.
Yeah.
Right.
Jeez.
No, it's a problem.
So he ran
It's a problem.
so he ran fairly even, is what I'm saying.
That's right.
I mean, you run 143 in the semi and 142 in the final. If you replicate, you probably win.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
If you
Was he in the
replicate
143? I thought that was Hobbs and
Miller, I think Miller had the 143 in the semi.
Yeah, Hobbs and Miller ran 143, but then he
Mm-hmm.
was 144 in his heat.
Either way, I'm taking it for the win. Early predictions.
There you go.
Men's 200.
Woo.
From the mouth of Sir Lucius.
I mean, I think the thing that I liked about the 200, I'll start with my guy, and the fact, you know, it's his first race meet of the year, and, you know, ecstatic about him getting through and making the team. And now we got time. We got at least 30 days to get some work done, right? But what I saw was Mr. Bednarik is not afraid of Mr. Lyles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I saw.
Yes.
That's what I saw. And that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, Noah. It just adds fuel to Noah's fire. So I think that's a race you don't want to miss in Paris. It's
Yep.
going to be phenomenal. But there's another race, just watching those guys prepare for the final. The intentionalness of everybody warming up for that final was amazing. And the guy that impressed me the most in that final was Kyrie King. Because I think we all knew Christian was going to fly around the turn.
Yeah.
And it was a question of, who was going to run him down. But I don't think there was very many people other than maybe Kyrie and Dennis that thought he was going to run 1990. Yeah, that was very impressive.
Kyrie
again,
King had an excellent trials period.
1990 gets you a fifth, so.
Well, I mean, that kind of brings me to my point, right? It's just like we talk about this jokingly and sometimes on the show about bad birthdays. Listen, every really good, special, whatever 200-meter guy in the United States just has an absolutely awful birthday. Because right now there's three guys that they don't put their pants on the same way as everybody else.
Kyrie is like 29 years old, right?
Yeah.
So Kyrie and Freddie and Shamir were all in college at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Kyrie has just Dennis has done a phenomenal job with him. He's just in two events where there's super people there and he can't get past them right now.
Yeah, like
it brings me to the other elephant in the room. Anybody else, any major championships, anywhere else in the world, you tell them you ran 989 and 1989 and you did not make your team.
Nay one of them.
Yeah.
Nay one of them.
What can you say? Like, it's insanity, and
so the only thing I have that equates to that, and you were there, so you know this. Frankie Fredericks in 1996 in the final of the 100 and in the final of the 200 broke what was the existing world records at the beginning of the season.
Right.
And he didn't win either one of them, and he wasn't close.
Nope.
And there's just nothing you could do with that.
Nothing you can do with that.
There's just nothing you can do with
at
that.
all. Right.
I will say this. For Christian to come back and run as fast as he did and to go through the rounds and be as professional as he did, I have to give that man his flowers. But, and you can't, while you're in it, you're not thinking that, I've got three of the greatest 200-meter runners to ever exist that I have to beat. But he still went out and gave it everything he had, and
if you talk to Christian, he thought he was winning the race now.
Okay.
He thought he was winning the race. There was no world where Christian didn't think he was winning the race, and he definitely thought he was making the team. That's just who he is.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, and to that point, I got a lot of respect for Christian because of what he did more so in the 200. Because that's not his event.
That's not his event.
And for him to come through that and get fourth, like, did anybody have a more brutal trials than Christian Coleman? Fourth and fourth?
Fair fourth. That's pretty much how you draw up the first level of hell.
But to his point, he handled it. He handled it extremely well. Hey, that's your guy right there. He handled himself extremely well.
Listen, I'm going to say this.
He's not wrong.
I'm going to say this to people who need to understand
he is
this.
wrong.
I would not wish fourth place at the U.S. Olympic track and field trials on anyone. Not my worst enemy. Literally no one. And obviously.
So I want to pause you for a second because you just told a lie. Because you would wish it on your worst enemy because you're petty like that.
I'm trying to show growth because my people, yourself included, keep telling me I need to be better.
But that was an all-out lie.
Embrace your petty, sir.
Exactly. So take that line out of there because you're not being truthful.
Rewind, delete.
Here on the petty side, I would wish fourth on certain people in this world. I don't know if I'd do it twice though. Twice
I
is
just
twice is a little much.
Once
It's
is
brutal.
enough.
I need people to understand, like, we take with elite level track and field athletes, we take things for granted, right? Christian Coleman has now not qualified for the 100 meters for an Open Olympics yet.
That's true.
And it is wild to some.
Isn't he 27?
I was gonna say he's not a child,
Yeah.
right? Listen, I love my guy Kyle Garland. He was too injured to do the 21 trials and got injured in the 24 trials.
Right.
Like, I promise people, I need y'all to understand, like, there is nothing to ever be taken for granted about our trial system, because we always leave medals and medalists home.
At home. Yep.
Always.
Yep.
So like when someone makes an Olympic team, they need to be truly and utterly honored. And when people ask, boy, isn't that pretentious? You guys get OLY behind your name. I'm like, if you knew what it took to become an American Olympian, you'd never question that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Christian's 28 years old.
Wow.
28.
Yep.
Yeah, man, it's tough.
Tough.
See, and here's the thing, and people don't notice because he came out of college early. Bednaric's only 25.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but before we get out of trials wrap up, we have to dive into one of the, I think at least one of the bigger surprises of the second weekend was the women's 200. Of course, everybody had Gabby on the team, but I don't think anybody in writing or on a camera somewhere, I don't think anybody predicted that result, those three.
So the funny part
I think
is,
most people had two of the three, but nobody had Brittany.
right. I was gonna say,
Exactly.
I don't think anybody had Brittany Brown, but Sir Lucius will tell you this. Right before the race, when I realized what lane she was in, I was like, she can make the team. Because listen, Brittany Brown is absolutely, if you just look back through her career, she's ridiculously dangerous if she's in 1 or 9.
Yeah.
Like if she's not where you can see her, she is a problem, because she does the run for her life thing better than almost everybody.
You know what Brittany Brown is? She's a racer.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not a lot of glitz and glam. It's not a lot of hype, right?
It's not the prettiest thing you've ever seen.
Right. It's not, you're right. It's not technically sound all the time, but that girl's a racer.
She is. Yes, she
Yeah.
is.
Speaking of racers, listen. I don't know if you're a bettor or a gambler. Somebody go take some money and go put it on Cole Hawker with 1,500 at the games.
Was that
I'm
man
just-
locked in or what?
I'm just telling y'all right now, with as much smack as the Norwegian and the two UKers,
Yes.
go back and forth. They are going to be concerned with each other. And Cole Hawker is going to come from 12th place to first place in 201 meters.
Man.
What
Dude, 52 seconds for the last quarter.
Yeah. It was
Big league.
Off a fast pace.
Off a fast pace, right? Like, off a fast pace. It's funny. We didn't talk about much. I was sort of impressed with the women's 800, because I think we all thought it was going to be very much a letdown after a thing went down. But that women's 800, I know, was on the front half, but I thought that was impressive too.
I'll say we dealt with that a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was the front half, first weekend.
Where we at, Madam Big League?
Coming off of the trials and the consequential things that come off. Maybe consequence is the right word, but the people, regular people, for the most part, think that after these people have made the team, they're they get to put OLY behind their name, and that they've basically secured everything. But for those who don't have, do they get? Is it their time to receive? Do we get to do that stuff for them?
Well, okay. Well, I'll go first and give some context, and then let y'all dive into it. the most important year to be good is the year before the Olympics. Because if you're good the year before the Olympics, contracts are aplenty because hope springs eternal. The problem with not being contracted going into the Olympics is they've either legitimately spent their money or they're going to wait to the Olympics and see who they can dump.
I want you to speak to what I'm gonna say because I know where you're going. I believe, unfortunately, to your point, from a business standpoint, short of getting a gold medal, Paris is now irrelevant because everybody on the business side is gearing up for 28. Go ahead.
Well, okay. Well, I guess if you specifically want my answer, I'll say this. Irrelevant's the wrong word, but now the people who are really going to make money off of 28 are going to be the best storylines, right? The Carrie Strug effect, right? So if something happens to where the way you win is compelling, that's about the only way that if you're not already set up to cash in, that you will cash in. Right? Like, I mean, we'll take like the Wheaties contract, the Wheaties box. The general consensus thought was like, you know, if you win, you can go on the box. Like, you have to have been good enough the year before to be offered the contract. And there's a pool of people.
So let me ask you this. So you're telling me that if a person that doesn't have a contract goes and wins a gold medal in Paris, you're not going to get any money off of that? Is that what you're saying?
No.
That's not what I'm saying either.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, people think, right? We all know exactly what's going to happen, but the general people think everybody that just made the Olympic team is now going to get either a bump in their contract or going to get a contract. We all know that to not be true, but we need to make sure that everybody who watches the show understands that. What they also don't understand is there are contracts that exist, right, where it's somebody new who's coming out of school. They want you. They're going to give you a contract, but in order to save money, they're going to start your contract in January of 2025 so that they don't have to pay you bonuses for anything that you may do. It's a hedge, right? It's to guard against them having to pay for anything that you may do that's special in the games.
Well, I will tell you this, that typically what happens with that is they offer the bonuses, just not the salary. Because they have to offer you something, because if you don't offer you something, then there's no value put in the uniform.
Correct.
Right. So the bonuses were typically there, just not the salary.
So let me be more specific, because this was an issue that has definitely been a hot topic over the past few weeks, and through the trials has been a point of contention. I want to be specific about it. Okay. There may be other names out there, but these are the three names that jump out to me that people are currently having a lot of banter about, right? Freddie Crinton, Alacia Johnson, Trevor Bassett, all walk into these games, these trials, unsigned. They all do phenomenally well, breakthrough performances, and are now on the team. The majority of people think that there's now a bag waiting for them. Is there one? Or is it contention on what happens in Paris? What I think all three of those situations are a little bit different, and I'm happy to talk about any one of them. But to the point that 30 Days to Paris, our EP just made, Grace Stark just turned professional. She walked out to the final as a newly minted professional athlete. And how old is Gracie?
23.
23 years old. Lele will go to the Olympic Games at 28 years old. And we've seen this play out in the past. I think short of a gold medal, if you're in one of these types of situations and you're on the, quote, elder side, because no one in the real world thinks 28 is old, but in the sport world, the people that pay the bills think that it is. So if you're in that pocket and you go out there and don't medal or don't get the medal, a lot of times there's no bag waiting. And I think that that's something that a lot of people in our profession don't understand, and it sucks, and it shouldn't be that way. But hell, Trevor Bassett has medals already and is unsigned.
Yep.
Freddie Crittenton
Yeah.
is closer to 30 than he might, you know what I mean? Like, these
I
are
think
not
Freddie's 20. He's 29 years old. Yeah.
right. They're right. Him and Lele are approaching 30. So if Paris is done business wise, and the calculus is what's the business going to set up for the American hosting LA 2028, people who are 28, 29 years old may not get properly rewarded for what they just pulled off, because the business side of it isn't going to expect them to be around at that time.
Right.
And that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, the truly unfortunate part to all this is like, it's a business and it's an age game and it's a medals game. And honestly, those three things are what decide everything, right? It's where you stand in the industry from a business perspective, how old you are, and how many medals you either can produce, have produced, or everybody believes you're going to produce. It kind of comes down to some conglomeration of those three things. And a lot of times, to your point, the feel good stories, they are hyped and they're made, they are trumped up because they are feel good stories. But the general public thinks the feel good story equals money. And like, the unfortunate part for a guy like Freddie Crittenden is like, and that just might not happen. I hope it does. Because I'm a huge fan of his, right? But like,
Right. Yeah.
a lot of times when you make your breakthrough at 28, 29, or 30, like, they applaud you and pat you on the back, and they might throw you a bonus or two, but that's probably it. Right? You're not going to get a 4-year deal with no reductions. Like, that's not a thing. It's just not.
So the answer is they don't get the bag even though they got it.
Yeah, I mean, like, look,
Unlikely to.
people got to understand, like, these shoe companies are doing business, and at some level, as cruel as what they do might seem, it is a business decision, right? Like, I remember when Kenny Harrison broke the Olympic record in the triple jump, and then Nike proceeded to drop him January 1st. But that's because he was like 31. And in their minds, right, like, you ain't going to be around for 4 more years, so what are we going to really get out of you? We got out of you what we got out of you. You want to go medal in Nike shoes. And that's brutal and that's harsh. But if you were running your own bank account, that's what you would do too. Right? You make best bets.
It's not far off of a conversation about recruiting. You know, the older you are, you got to bring more to the table. You're not worth the same as a first year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's a parallel, sure. Well, indirectly, we actually just covered our last topic, so we won't.
No, that's because you skipped over the EP's topic, the first topic.
You're supposed to skip over that.
No, she wasn't. But it's
Eugene
okay.
Fatigue. So go ahead, EP. Go ahead and get it in.
I'm confused.
It's okay. Go ahead.
EP.
You know, it's not even necessarily, just so I want to be clear, like, I love, as Clyde calls it, the cathedral. I think it's amazing. But I also do believe too much of a good thing can become problematic, right? I think we would all have a much greater appreciation for the cathedral if we went there for the Olympic trials, and maybe I could concede to the NCAAs either before the Olympics or after. So they got their back-to-back years, but everything else that we did has got to be someplace else. Like, we need to go someplace else for USA's in the 3 World Championship years. We definitely need to go multiple different places in the NCAA landscape than in Eugene. And listen, I love these young people, but no teenage child needs to be running in the cathedral. So we don't even need to have Nike Nationals out there. They don't need to have U20s out there, because you got to have things to aspire to, right? I just came from U20s with a 17-year-old kid that is probably going to do 30 meets in his career in Eugene, right? He
Okay.
won't have any, you at some point I think it's special and I want it to stay special. And between the price gouging, the difficulties to get there, the difficulties to get things there, it just kind of gets old at some point.
Okay.
And I mean, Sir Lucius just spent a month in Eugene. He might as well be a resident.
So I'll jump in now and be brief, because the EP and me and I have discussed this off camera, and to what may surprise a lot of people is I'm with him on some of that. Let's take the easy pieces out. The children should not be racing in Eugene. None of them.
Should not.
No JOs, no Nike Nationals. I understand that that's the house that Nike built. I get all of that, but no. Leave the cathedral for, the top end things. I would agree that in non-Olympic years, USA championships should be elsewhere if you assure me that the elsewhere is Mount Sac. I don't want to be nowhere else, because once you get out of that space, now we're way down into the coach seats on a propeller plane or something like that. I don't want to hear none of that. I will sign up for USA's in Walnut, California at the new Mount Sac facility, and then go to Eugene for Olympic trials. I'm here for that.
I'll be honest, I would actually buy into that. That
where I get off the plane, where I get off the plane, off the boat, out of the car, I'm not with it, is the NCAA issue. Because the majority of NCAA athletes won't qualify or ever race at an Olympic trials, right? So if the NCAA pinnacle, if the best facility we have open to us in this nation, and it ain't even close, is the cathedral, I have no problem with the championships for the NCAA being in Eugene in perpetuity, especially if USA's is going to be elsewhere every 75% of the cycle. So leave the NCAA's where it should be, get the kids up out of the building, and let's go to Walnut in off years. Olympic trials in Eugene. That is a down the middle.
So I'm dying to hear Sir
doing
Lucius's take on all
the
of
same
this.
fatigue you say you're creating for Eugene. Now you're creating it for Walnut as well. Right?
It's just USA.
Exactly. But you were creating the same damn thing. So, but that's what you want to do. That's fine. But it's all idiocy, right? There's no world where we should be forced. I should be forced to get on a plane and go to freaking other side of the world every time I got to go to a championship. It's not fair. Nothing fair.
So you want USA's in Des Moines?
Okay, I don't give a crap where it is. As long as we all have to show up and run, I don't care where it is. No. All I know is that I just spent almost a month in Eugene and I still have a freaking headache. And my eyes are dry. I don't give a crap how great the stadium is. The price gouging.
No one told you to be the hardest working man in show business.
Hold on a second. The price gouging, the headaches is not worth it to me. Just not.
Soliloquy.
Let's really talk about the price gouging.
Let the man talk, please.
Full transparency here. Like, I get it. It's a nice stadium. But we have to it's this nice shiny ball. We have to go see it. We've seen it once. I don't care if we ever see it again.
I said,
come on. I don't want to hear that. Oh, it's got to be at the cathedral, because guess what? As crappy as we want to say the Des Moines is, we've gone to Des Moines and run fast. Mm-hmm. We've run fast at LSU. We've run fast at Texas. We've run in Sacramento. Wherever you put the daggone meat, it runs, right? And it runs fast. So why do we have to go to the cathedral every year? No, I'm not co-signing on that mess. What experience?
What experience?
It's a horrible experience.
What experience?
It's a horrible experience.
As the hardest working man in the game, as the man that just put more people on Team USA than anybody else, as and I think many people's GOAT coach in the NCAA, you are not going to sit here with your first world problems and pretend.
Hold on a second.
Pretend that.
Hold on a second.
Pretend
I
that.
want to hear this mess.
Pretend that warm-up issues And the back end, the stuff that the public doesn't see doesn't matter. You're not going to sit here and pretend that tape
I'm not pretending
boxes
anything, sir.
under the Texas Stadium and 3 lanes under the
Okay,
Texas
so,
Stadium
all
is
right,
an
so
appropriate way to prep
I
for
am
racing.
going to, okay, hold on a second. What I'm going to tell you is this. Put it in a freaking parking lot. I'm going to show up and do my job. So I don't care.
We're all going to do that, brother.
That
We all
was a
going to do that.
all right, so that was a horrible analogy for you to say to me, right?
No, we all going to do that.
Okay, exactly. So then don't talk to me about the warm-up area. Don't talk to me. See, my thing is this, right? We can have great track meets other places than Eugene. We had a great track. Hold on a second. We had a great track meet in Duke. We warmed them on the freaking grass, and it was wet and muddy. Right. So, but my thing is this: is that for us to be forced to travel to the other side of the country every single year for every single championship track meet is wrong.
I agree.
Exactly. No,
That's
you don't
why
agree.
I said let's go to Walnut for USA's.
That's still the other side.
Which is still on the other side of the country, of the world.
Oh, spoken like a true Californian right there.
Hey, sir, I didn't build the thing. Listen, there was
sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels
there
like
was a
you do
debate.
sometimes.
No, it doesn't, and don't do that because there's a debate right now.
What?
Wait a minute, there's a debate right now. Somebody posed the question, and it got like hundreds of responses or whatever. Should Atlanta be the center of track and field? No, not until they choose to build something.
What?
Build something.
They built the fastest track on the planet and then made it into a baseball field. No, Atlanta gets nothing ever again.
Exactly. This is my issue. So listen, if you tell me that North Carolina wants to invest and build a cathedral-like environment in North Carolina, send me to Charlotte.
Okay, see, here's the thing. I'm
cool
over the cathedral-like environment. Okay? I'm over it. Now, if you guys want to hold on to the cathedral, hold on to it. I don't want no parts of it. I don't. I got no problem going to Eugene. I just want to go there every year until I die. I don't.
It definitely does feel sometimes like we can't have a track meet anywhere else.
You know why?
It really does.
Wait a minute. You know why that is 30 days to prepare? Go ahead and
that's
say it so I don't have to say it for you. Go ahead and say it so I don't have to say it for you.
Listen, I get it. The facility is the best facility
forget all that.
in the country.
Cool. We're off the facility. That's just a fact. Tell me why it feels like that when it's elsewhere. Because don't nobody show up to Des Moines.
No.
Don't nobody show up to Arkansas. That's why. That's why, sir. That's why it feels like that.
Okay, so we had an Olympic Games with nobody in the stadium. People ran fast.
I was just about to say that.
Right, but Sir Lucius, no one has ever said, certainly not me, that you can't run fast anywhere except Eugene. That's stupid. No, who says that?
No, I'm just saying, but your point is always nobody showed up. It doesn't matter who shows up. What matters who shows up are the freaking athletes and coaches that come out there and get the athletes ready to run fast. That's what matters. Doesn't matter if nobody shows up and sits in the stands and watch. And those stands have been empty, not completely empty. No. I will give it to you that people in Eugene show up. They ain't got nothing else to do, so that's what they do.
That's fine. Hey, I don't live there neither, so I hear you.
I don't even dislike it, right? It used to be, I hated it. When I was an athlete, I hated Eugene because it was pre-global warming and it rained every time I was there, right? Now it's not so much the issue anymore. That just means it's probably burning up. But I just don't get going to a place I've been going to for 35 years and having somebody tell me that you got to pay $300 to stay in the Best Western.
Yeah.
Right? When Carl Lewis, who made top 3 money makers in our sport in the history ever, is like posting like shots at Eugene hotels, talking about make it make sense. And they're like 546 and 643. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, look, if it's Tracktown USA, fine. We come because y'all love it. Don't act like there's not a financial huge boon that comes from going there.
Sure.
And if that's part of the deal, then like, let's spread the wealth a bit because this gets old.
Listen, if we want to talk about the price gouging, one, I will not pretend that it doesn't happen because I'm there paying the same fees as everybody else, right? I think, you can find ways around that. But Here's the issue. Recency bias. That price gouging is a new issue post-COVID. It wasn't not
I would
happening
agree.
like that before COVID. So that's a new phenomenon that everybody's pretending has gone on for 20 years, which is not true. And
It has
secondly,
definitely not
Okay,
gone
well,
on
see,
for 20 years.
say first of all,
but secondly,
I am not pretending that it's going on for 20 years.
I'm not talking about you.
I'm not pretending this is going. It doesn't matter whether it's going on now or whether it's going on 20 years ago. It's real now. I don't care what was going on 20 years ago.
Cool.
So blaming it on COVID is an easy way out.
No,
Right?
it's a
bottom
factual
line is
thing.
okay. Again, it's still the easy way out, right? The bottom line is this: for the foreseeable future, if you go to Eugene, Oregon, you're going to pay $500 for a hotel room. That's wrong.
Well, we all agree that that's wrong, but I don't personally believe that that is for the foreseeable future, because that is something that could be easily regulated by the powers that be in Oregon and in Eugene. They have total ability to get control over that entity. And personally, smart business people who want these things to continue to be in their city will get that under control.
You did not just say that.
I did just say that. They absolutely will get that under control.
Because so I want you to explain to me who's moving the meat. The meat ain't going nowhere. The meat's there forever. It's not going anywhere.
Which version of the meat are we talking about?
Okay, it doesn't matter which version it is. If it's the Olympic trials, if it's the USA championships or the NCAA championships, we're in Eugene for the foreseeable future. So they don't have to make smart business decisions. It's been made already.
Well, these are issues. So from a USATF perspective, USATF powers that be should be working with the Oregon Chamber of Commerce and issues like that. And they could absolutely influence those things. They can. Like, we're not going to pretend like that's not how things work in the business world. It does. It happens all the time. But price gouging for events like this also happen all the time. When the Super Bowl's in your city, the prices are gouged. When Beyonce comes in your town for a concert, the prices are gouged. Like, that stuff.
$564 for the Best Western is the sickest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yes,
I understand.
That's retarded.
I understand that.
Okay, but
I'm
here's
not
the thing.
denying.
Here's the thing. We can just cancel the whole thing because you are the cathedral guy, and no matter what any of us say, you have a retort as to what should, would, and could happen. The bottom line is
that's how good debates are supposed to be done.
But it's a horrible debate because there's no debate because this is a fact. We're going to be in Eugene until Kai is 50 years old. And we're going to continue, and we're going to continue to be price gouged. So there's no debate here. There's nothing to debate. There's nothing to debate about the businessmen need to get together. What are they getting together for? They got the best thing on the planet going. Right? They're not changing anything. And USA Track and Field don't care. Why would they care?
Well, now see.
I'll see me all
when he lobs me up a petty softball, y'all expect me not to hit it, right?
There's nothing lobbed there. Why do they?
No. There was. You just said USATF doesn't care, right? They don't care. Why do the rich schools in the NCAA care? Y'all don't care. Why should y'all care? Y'all got it.
Hold on a second. I care.
Why?
Because it's harder for us to get there than anybody else on the planet.
Well, it's further, sure.
So it's harder.
Well, it's also no, because he's got to come from a regional airport and go to a regional airport. So even doing chartering, you're still trying to go from Gainesville to Eugene.
Right. Exactly.
Like, no matter how you do it,
exactly.
We understand he's had some rough travel issues this year, but
it's been really bad.
It's been really bad.
I mean, listen, we love you, so we're here for that. But you're on the private jets, man. Like, you care.
No, of course I care. We get delayed. It takes forever. Okay, so you get on a plane and you're there in 2 hours.
Less than that.
I leave. Exactly. See? That's my point. I get on a plane at 9 o'clock in the morning. I get there at 7 o'clock at night.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's obvious it has affected your ability to win, Mouse.
Yeah, I mean, y'all would perform a hell of a lot better if the meat wasn't so far away from you.
Yeah,
Shit.
exactly.
Damn.
Never know. We might.
Oh man.
Oh, that was funny.
So to cap it off, I am not opposed to Eugene. I just don't want to be there every year.
Every
And I
year.
don't want to spend a month of my life there every year when there's a major
And
championship.
I think that's it right there, right? It's just those two things. I don't want to go every year, and I don't want to ever have to be there for a month.
Well, I would like to point out that y'all call me the president of Eugene. I offered a midline solution that solves almost all your problems and complaints right there. Almost.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Okay, so I got to
You'll
go
never
to
be there for a
Eugene,
month that way.
come back to Gainesville, and I got to be in Walnut for another.
The issue is Eugene, brother. I can't fix your West Coast issue. The issue was Eugene.
Yeah. Well, I'll say, as I was wrapping up my tenure, I left the day before. I left on Sunday. There are a lot of people who could not wait to take that red-eye flight from Portland.
Mm-hmm.
They were ready to get. So if you're compromising and willing to get that 2-hour drive to get to Portland to get home sooner, you know. But nonetheless, it is a great meet, and no one's going to take that away from it. Just if we can pick it up and transplant it somewhere else, that'd be amazing too. So
build it, Indianapolis.
They're trying. There's actually some.
They're trying.
They've got some stuff moving. So
It
wheels are
doesn't
spinning.
matter. They're just wasting their money. If they want the trials, they're not going to get it. So.
I mean,
So-
listen, he's not wrong. Like the Olympic trials, probably until Kai is 50, are never going to move.
I mean,
And
same is being said about the NCAA meet too. So
as I said to Sir Lucius, this is all Sacramento's fault because they let a convention end their reign as the Olympic trials host city, and we ain't ever going back.
wow.
No.
Right? They had it in 2000 and 2004, and nobody complained because it was hot as hell for the sprinters and it was cool in the evening for the distance runners, and nobody could complain and nobody had pollen issues. Everybody was fine. Mm-hmm. And then they had the nerve to overplay their hand, and they let some convention take up all the hotels and had the nerve to ask USATF could they move the trials date.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're done.
They also put a football field in the middle of that stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that happened after all of that. But it just because remember, there's 2 stadiums there. They could have done stadium improvements on Sac City. Like we were good either way. The USA's has been at Sac City, and that's where Mike ran 43-45. So like we were good both ways. But now we're going to Eugene till death do us part.
All right. Well, that's enough Eugene for the year. Literally have hit our quota. We will not be mentioning Eugene for the remainder of the year.
Oh.
I want to know nobody named Eugene right now.
So with that being said, everyone, it's been fun. We're in the short window to the biggest games for right now. And other than that, we'll see each other next week to find something else to talk about. Bye, everyone.